Hello.
Yes, sir.
Okay. So, in the last class, we were discussing the different forms of if statement, different types of if statement. We started with a simple if statement without an else part. Simple if statement without an else part, and we saw absolute value of a given number as the example for that. Then we saw the next variant if else. If part is there, which is executed when it is true, when the condition is true, and the else part which is executed only when the condition is false. This is the condition. Then we found the application was finding larger of two numbers. So these are simple applications which will help you to understand the use of this kind of constructs, if else, if, etc. Now you should be thinking further to apply this in different scenarios. Okay, that is the intention. Now, nested if, we studied nested if nested if else statement where there is an outer if statement, and within the if part or the true part of it we have another independent if else statement. Similar in the else part also there is another independent else statement, and the practical application we have seen is finding the largest of three numbers. Okay, so all these things are there in the recorded video also. If you have any doubt you can go back and watch the video. Okay. Then another variant we studied, that is if else if ladder. Else if ladder. So same application we did here also, finding the largest of three numbers, but in a different way. Instead of using nested if statement, we used it as a ladder. So it's like it goes in a ladder fashion. That's why it is maybe named as else if ladder. Like that, it is going as a ladder in a ladder fashion. But the indentation we may vary. It need not be always shown as ladder. It can be single vertical only. Okay. So these are the three variants or four variants: simple if, nested if else, nested if else if ladder. Four variants of if statement, and all are used for decision making and branching. Okay. Next, basically, if statement is a binary decision maker, right? The basic form of if statement is a binary decision maker where you check for one condition. I can take this as the example, if else as the example. Okay, you look for a condition, then if it is true you do something, if it is false you should do something else. Binary decision making means there are only two outcomes, two possible outcome for the decision making process, either true or false, or we call it as yes or no. Now sometimes we will have to go for a multi-way decision. We need to look for different conditions. Based on that we may have to take decision, and in that we, for that purpose, we use the variant of if statement, that is nested if else as well as else if ladder. In case of nested if else and else if ladder, we are looking for multiple conditions. Actually, we are taking the decision based on multiple condition checking. Condition 1, then inside condition 2, then in the else part we have condition 3. So we are taking an action based on multiple condition checking. So if you are taking this action, we are going for two decision making. Here one decision making which is having a potential two outcomes, and here another decision making which is this is also having potential two outcomes. And if you are doing this one based on two decision making process, we are doing this. Okay, so that way here two possibilities are there, here two possibilities are there. So out of four options we are selecting one. Okay, so this if else statement we can use for taking decision based on multiple conditions also, even though the basic nature of it is a binary decision maker, checking for one condition and taking one of the possible actions. Okay, but we can use it for decision making based on multiple conditions using the variants like nested if else if ladder, etc. Okay, now C has another default built-in multi-way decision maker. I can say if else is a basically fundamentally a two-way decision maker. Only two outcomes are possible for the decision making process. There is a multi-way decision making statement in C. We call it as the switch statement. Multi-way decision making statement in C. That means you look for a condition, a condition or look for a value, and based on the value of the expression. So this is the decision making box. This rhombus is the decision diamond shape is the decision making box, similar to if else statement. Now as an outcome of this, we have multiple options. Okay, whatever may be the expression here, based on the outcome of this expression, the outcome of this expression need not be binary. In case of if else, the outcome of the expression in the diamond box is a binary outcome. Either it will result in either true or false. Here it need not be a binary outcome, true or false, but based on the value of this expression, either this block or this block or this block, like that n options are there, or a default block can be executed. That is the basic nature of switch statement in C. It is a multi-way decision making statement, and based on there will be an expression. Based on the value of the expression, one of the n blocks will be executed. One of the n blocks will be executed. So it is quite different from your if else statement. Outcome is binary and one of the two options will be executed. In this case, one of the n options will be executed. So code either one block, code block 1 or code block 2 or code block 3. Code block means a block of code, a few lines of code, normally enclosed within curly braces, but it is not necessary. Okay. The general syntax of switch statement is like this. It is similar to simple if statement. The basic structure is like this. Previously, simple if statement, what is the syntax? If followed by a relational expression. Here I don't say it's a relational expression, but a general expression. And opening curly bracket, closing curly bracket. Within the opening and closing curly bracket, we have a structure like this. Case is a keyword. Here switch is a keyword. Case is also a keyword. This need not be a keyword. This will normally be a constant. Value 1 will be a constant. Then we execute block 1. And there is another keyword, break. I will tell what are the uses of all these keywords. Then another second block. So first block is represented by these three lines now here. Case is a keyword. It's a reserved word. Keyword means a reserved word by the language. And here break is also a keyword. This will be a constant, not a variable. This will be a constant. Block 1 will be multiple lines of code what we want to perform. The action we want to perform. Now again case, another one more time case. This time we provide a different constant value, value 2. So different constant value. Then the action need to be performed, then followed by a break statement. Similarly, multiple case blocks will be there. This is one case block, another case block. Similarly, n case blocks are provided, can be provided, and at the end there is a default block. If you don't want any of this to be executed, or if any of these are not executed, we will execute the default block. Okay. So this way it is a multi-way decision. You take this diagram, I have an expression. So here it is corresponding to this expression. After that, based on the value evaluated for the expression, either this block, code block 1, block 2, block 3, or the default block will be executed, including B. So like this, either this or this. Similarly, n blocks will be there, case value 3, case value n, etc. And finally a default block. If none of the previous ones are executed, we will want this to be executed to indicate that none of them are executed. Okay, this is the general format of switch statement, which is a multi-way decision making statement. Any doubt? So We'll directly go to example. Here I'll take an input from the user, a number as the input from the user. Okay. Now based on the value, this number is a variable. In simple form it is an expression only. So I'm going to use this number as the expression in my simple switch case. So what I'll start with switch, my expression is num. I declared the variable, I got a value from the user and it is stored in the variable num. So my simple switch statement looks like this without any case now. Okay, as of now nothing it is doing. Now similar to the general syntax we have seen, we have to define the case blocks. Okay, we have to define the or write the case blocks. So the first case block I am going to write. Case is a keyword, and based on now this expression, since it's a simple expression num, the value of the expression is the value stored in num. Okay, so assume that it is 1. Now this is my first case block. I can enclose the statements in this case block in a curly brackets if required, otherwise I can omit also. Okay, anyway, now I am writing the first case block such a way that if the value of this expression is 1, this block will be executed. So I am just going to print the message saying that 1 is entered. Okay, so I can write in any number of statements here, but what I am going to do is simply print that 1 is entered. Okay, we will see more practical applications, but just to understand the working of this, I am going to, so I will put a /n also, and after all the statements of case block 1 is over, I will put a statement known as break. This is also a keyword. So my first case block is done. Now when this will be executed, when this expression is having the final value as 1, this block will be executed. Suppose num is having another value. Okay, for that suppose 2 also can be a value for the expression num. Remember that a variable is a simple form of an expression. Okay, or even a constant is also a simple form of an expression. I have told many times. Remember that. Now if the value of variable num is 2, I will write the second block. So indentation I am providing properly for the readability of the program. So 2 is entered. Similarly, for any value of, it's a variable, integer variable, so it can take any integer value. User can enter any integer value. So I can have more blocks like this. But based on all possible values, so values that a num can take, I can write any number of blocks. Okay, I am taking a very simple action here just to understand the working of this. Okay, we can do like practical applications later. Similarly, I can write any number of case blocks. Now I don't want to handle all the values of num, all the possible values of num. A num can take infinite number of values, so all the possible integers, right? I cannot keep on writing. So I am interested particularly in only values 1, 2 and 3 if it is stored in num. All other cases I want to handle at once. So any other value num variable takes, I want to handle it together in a single block. For that I write a default block. So in the general syntax I have shown that there is a default block. Default is also a keyword followed by a colon. Okay. After that you write the statements and finally a break. The break is optional there. So what I will put here is general statement entered percentage D, and whatever value I got, I will print it. For all other things, I wrote the alphabetical corresponding word for that number, and here I am simply displaying. Okay, the default action, and I can optionally put a break statement here just to be complete, perfect with our syntax and format. Okay, now we will see the execution. How can you must have already understood whatever based on the value of this expression or this variable. Expression is a variable here. Based on the value of this variable, one of the blocks will be executed. If the value of the variable is 1, the user entered input is 1, this is going to be executed. If the user entered input is 2, only this is going to be executed. I mean, only this. If it is 1, only this is going to be executed. If it is 2, only this is going to be executed. If it is 3, only this is going to be executed. If it is any other value than 1, 2 and 3, only this will be executed. Okay, we will see that in practice. So I compiled it, enter an integer, 1 is entered, only this block is executed, we get the message 1 is entered. Now if I enter 2, 2 is entered, only this block is executed. Okay. Similarly, if I enter 3, three is entered, the third block is executed because there is a block corresponding to the value 3. And if I enter any other value, say 4, entered 4. For any other integer value I am going to enter, it is going to execute the default block. Okay. Understood the working of switch statement? Any doubt so far? Any question? Okay, I assume that it is clear. Now I'll explain use of break statement. The break statement put here in the case block, you cannot apply break statement anywhere. You cannot apply within a if statement, or generally in a place outside you cannot apply. You cannot apply a break statement here. Okay. It is, as of now, it is allowed only within the switch statement within a case block. Okay. So what happens is when num is equal to 1, the execution is directly going into this block under case 1, and the statements are executed. You can have multiple statements here. You can take any action here, like declaring variable to taking input to processing it. All those things you can do here. It is possible for you to put everything in curly brace also. That is also fine. Okay, you can define the whole thing as a block also, and block under curly braces. It is possible to do. Okay. Now if I compile and execute, if I enter 2 times, it is coming, but only that block is coming. Okay, any number of lines of code you can put. Now break statement, what it does is, break means continue break the execution of this block. Break the execution of this block. That means if break is inserted, when the compiler executes this statement, it will take the execution out of the entire block. When the break is executed for the first time, the execution will be taken out of the entire block and it will go to the statement after that. Switch finished. Okay. When break is executed, it will leave the entire switch. Within switch statement only we can put a break first of all. and when that is executed, the switch statement execution will be abandoned and it will continue to the remaining statements in the. Now what if I put break here? What if I put a break here? We'll see. Because I told as soon as break is executed, the execution is going to abandon the switch block. So I'll execute this and enter 1. I get directly switch finished. That means as soon as break is over and break is executed, the next statement in the same block also is not executed. It is going to the statement after the entire switch block. Normally we will not put it as a first statement of the block, instead as the last statement of the block. Okay, now what if we don't put break? What if we don't put break? Okay, we will see. I commented out break statement. Can anyone tell what is going to happen if my input is 1?
Both will execute. Case 1, case 2.
Yeah, let's see. You are correct actually. So I removed the break from statement case block 1. Okay, it is commented and I am going to provide input. What is the output coming? 1 is entered, 2 is entered, switch finished. That means this block is executed and the next block is also executed, and in the next block, case 2 block, there is a break statement. Because of that break statement, this switch block is abandoned and it is going out. That means this block is not executed. Case 3 block is not executed, but case 2 block is executed. That means what? If the break is not given in a block and because of the expression value, that block happened to be executing first, and if break is not there, it will continue to execute the next block also. That is one behavior of the switch statement. Now if I remove comment this as well as this, it is obvious. First, and if the input is 1, if the input is 1, it is going to execute this block. Since break is not there, it will execute this also. There is also no block break, and it is going to execute this the case 3 block also. And there is a break. Because of that, the default statement will not be executed. So if my input is 1, 1 is entered, 2 is entered, 3 is entered, and at the end of case 3 block, break is there. Because of that, this will not. If I remove that, even default block is going to execute. Entered 1. This is printed from the default block. So all the blocks are executed. Now if I enter the input as 2, 1 is entered is not executed. My expression is evaluated to 2. The execution will start from block 2. The case where the value of the block is 2. Or block where the block corresponding to the value 2. Because I entered not 1, I entered 2. So executes this, execute this, execute this. So we get 2 is entered, 3 is entered 2, switch finished. Okay, now the case value is always need not be always 1, 2, 3, etc. I can have any integer value. Since it's an integer variable, integer expression, I can have any integer value. Okay, I can have 200 or any value, any 3 values. Now if these 3 values are entered, the corresponding block will be executed. For any other value, default block will be executed. So if I enter 200, 2 is entered will come, because I am displaying the message still as 2 is entered. Okay. So it is not necessary that the value has to be 1 or 2 or 3 like that. It can be any possible integers. And if the matching number is entered by the user, the corresponding block will be executed. Otherwise, the default block will be executed. Now, default block is an optional one. because we cannot exhaustively list all the integers here. So if the user, we cannot insist user to enter always 100, 200 and 300, right? So user may be little mischievous and he might enter 500. Even if I ask him enter 100, 200 or 300, the user may enter, still play mischievous with the program, and he might enter. So if default block is not there, nothing will happen. We will not come to know what is happening. That is why, to cover all the other numbers, rest of the cases, we are providing the default block. In else if ladder also, we had a last else statement which was a default block. So everywhere we had else if some condition, else if some condition, etc. And if none of them are matched, none of them are evaluated to true, we would execute an else statement, which is the default statement, default block. Or similar concept here. If none of the values for the case blocks are matched, then the default block will be executed. Okay. So these are the basics about switch statement. Any question? Any doubt? If not, I'll explain some more things, some more points about this. Here within the switch statement, as an expression, you can use a variable of integer type or character type only. Integer type or character type. Okay. So here it is an integer variable. That means you cannot use here. You can use a variable only. First of all, you can use a variable only. If I try to do this, is it compiling? Yeah, it is compiling, but there is no use. It will always execute the same statement, right? One is ended. Whatever I ended, because it is matching with this. So if I put a constant here, there is no use. Only one block will be executed. Rather, I can directly execute every time. Whatever value may be the value of num, or whatever may be the condition, only one block will be executed. In that case, if I put a constant here, there is no use at all. Okay, we can rather put this statement directly here. Okay, instead of putting a constant. Now, if I put a variable, I can put a variable num, which is of integer type, or a variable of character type. If I attempt to put, say, float x, and if I attempt to put x here, it is going to give me an error. So integer or character. Why character? Because character is basically an integer only. Internally, implicitly, character is an integer made of 1 byte. Only the value stored in the character variable, we interpret it as a character or a symbol rather than a digit. But internally, computer knows only about numbers. So because of that, internally everything is a number only, and everything is an integer only here. Character, whatever is stored in character, internally it is treated as an integer only. So that because of that, I can put a character variable in the place of expression. I can put a character variable in the place of expression. So this will compile, but if I put a floating point variable, it will not compile. It is not valid. Now, it is not necessary that I have to put always a single variable. Constant I told we can put, but there is no virtually any use. Okay, there is no use. But I can put a proper expression also here. Now, the block will be executed based on the final value of this expression. Okay. So if I compile, I get. So based on the final value of the expression, the corresponding block, matching block will be executed. If none is matched, the default block will be executed. So I am going to put 50 as the input. So num into 50 is 200. 50 into 2 is 100. So this block is executed. Okay. So if I put 100 as the input, num into 2, 100 into 2 is 200. So this block is executed. Similarly, if I put 150 as the input, 150 into 2, 300, this block will be executed. For any other value evaluated, the default block will be executed. But normally, you will be using a single variable in all practical programs, you will be putting a single variable, but it is not necessary that it has to be a single variable only. It can be a constant, but there is no practical use of constant. Every time the same block will be executed. It can be a variable of integer type or character type, no floating point type or no real type or no strings, etc. Okay, and here for the case values you can put only constants. You can put only constants. So if I try to put a variable here, variable num, it is going to give me an error. Here you can put only constants. Two types of constants only you can use now. Either it should be a integer or it can be a character. Character means a single symbol in single quotes. So a character constant or a integer constant only you can use here for the case value. So these are the things you need to remember. Okay. So now we will see one practical application. So this is fine. We'll see. We have any programs? Yeah. So I have a program. I'll directly, instead of typing it all, I will just. It's a simple calculator program. I'll take from my notes only. It is there in the notes. I'll just demonstrate that. Simple calculator program. Calculator 1.c. Okay. So what my program does is, okay, it is not actually doing calculation. It is just simulating it. Simulating means it's a dummy output which is selected. Okay. So based on the operation it will take, enter your choice. So I have displayed here enter your choice, and I have to insert the symbol corresponding to the operation I want to perform. So if it is addition, I'll insert addition. So addition selected. Here I have different blocks. So character plus is put. Since it is a character, see, I have declared a character variable choice, and I am reading the value using %c ampersand choice. And this is the expression for the switch statement now. And if the value is plus, I am putting character constant. Okay, since it's a character, I am putting character constant, and this block will be executed if addition is entered. Addition symbol is entered. If I enter any other, the correspond. Suppose if I enter division, division is represented using this slash. So division selected is coming. And if I am inserting any other symbol than these operators, invalid choice will be executed. Say I enter hash. The symbol is called hash. Hash include. Invalid choice is coming. Okay. So this is simulation of a calculator. It's not actually doing any calculation and printing the message. We'll see there are other programs doing exact calculation. Okay. Yeah, actual calculation program is there. Probably I'll take up that. I'll replace this with the actual calculator program. Simple calculator program in C. So I'll slightly correct the indentation so that it is legible. So I'll put block here. Default block. Okay, now it looks neat. So my input is the operation I want to perform and the operands, two operands I want to perform the operation on. So first I ask for the operator, what operation to be performed, and two operands I am asking and stored in num1 and num2. And choice is my switch variable. It's a character which will have a symbol stored in it, and based on that one of these operations will be performed. Now here you see the first three blocks, only single executable statements are there. Only action, single action, single statement action is there. Now here I have multiple statements, so it is possible to put any number of statements in within a case block. Okay. So here what I have done is, in case of division only I am performing a check. If the denominator is 0, I cannot, no number cannot be divided with 0, right? So I check for the denominator. If it is 0, I display a special message, divide by 0 error, and I will not perform the division. I return my program. I am giving a return statement here and giving a -1 instead of the regular 0, so that to indicate there is some error with the input. Okay. Otherwise, if this is not executed, if num2 is not a 0, not non-zero value, we are going to perform the operation. So we'll just execute and see. So I want to perform addition or addition. Enter two operands, 35. So 35 plus 4 is 69. The proper statement, it is complete statement, it is displaying 35 plus 4 equal to 69. How it is displayed? The percentage D and plus, this is the plus 35 plus 34, and this is the plus coming as such. 35 comes here, then 34 comes here, equal to result comes here, and result variable is stored in num1. The first operand is stored in num1, second operand is stored in num2, and the result is computed as num1 plus num2. In the final string displayed, this value will be replacing this percentage D. This value stored in this variable will be replacing this, and value, the total of num1 and num2 will be placed here. This is how the printing happens. Okay. So it is up to you. Where you have a similar program in lab, not the exact same program, similar program in lab, but there this kind of beautiful formatting and all not done. Okay. But the logic, the how you have to implement it is similar. The logic, but the presentation of the output or that how your input is taken, it is slightly different. Okay. So that we will see in the next lab. Now, if I select multiplication, I will two operands are asked. I get this. Okay. Now, if I select division, if my second normal division, no problem. So I divide, I get 7. Even if, since it is integer division, if there is a fractional value, that will be discarded. This is integer division. We are not involving floating point division. So if there is a fractional value, so division. So we should have got 5.4, but since it is integer division, fractional value is discarded. Now what if my second operand is a 0? Second operand is a 0. Divide by 0 error, because I am checking for the second operand value, that block corresponding to division operation. I am checking for the second operand. If it is 0, I print a message, divide by 0 error, and return. I give a return. So whenever in main function return is executed, immediately your program will terminate. It will, when main function returns, the program is over. So remaining statement or even the last return statement, this much and this part and all will not be executed. Okay. Any doubts so far? Any doubt? It's time for you to ask doubt. Otherwise, I'll see what is there in the PPT if anything I have missed. Switch statement examples we have seen. Conditional operator we have studied already in the previous conditional operator, ternary operator. We have studied it. It is coming here also somehow. I think now it current similar levels it is not there. Go to is an SLE. It is unconditional branching statement. You simply give go to, it will go to a location. There is no condition checking. Some statements in the program you will label, you will give a label. Say these statements I give a label, and somewhere else within the same function. Okay, I am assuming that you are in main function. Within same function, you label some statements, and somewhere else you put go to label semicolon. Then these statements will not be executed. The execution will go directly to, it's a jump statement, actually jumping statement, unconditional branching statement. It's an SLE that anyway it's there in the notes. You can study it from the notes also.